Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with Savage Unfiltered Podcast, thelibertybeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, excuse me. You're supposed to clear your throat before you hit record. So my apologies for that. And at any rate, first, an admission, I am recording today. Let me look over at the calendar to make sure I get this right. On Tuesday, January the 16th, 2024. Happy New Year if this is the first one of 2024 show of mine you're tuning in for. And I want to give the weather forecast first. Now, if you see me as co-host on Savage Unfiltered, you know I like to use my whiteboard as a joke. And for those of you looking on at J. Leonard Detroit YouTube or Rumble channel, the behind-the-scenes sneak peek video version of the show that will be season 1, episode 31 of Constitutional Rights versus Commie Privilege. You can see I'm holding up my whiteboard that says, send a pallet of hot chocolate because it's cold here. The wind chill out today is below 0 here in Michigan. So I just thought I'd jokingly hold that up, and especially for you pampered folks, let me just lovingly, jabbingly say, in the South, who, yeah, I'm sure it's cold by your definition and standards there here in January of 2024. Also, as we go through this cold spell, the Iowa caucus was just held last night, and the wind chill in some areas was negative 50 degrees. So I dare say those of you in the South that may have hit 50 degrees, oh, burr. Remember how they had it in Iowa recently, and how I have it here in the Detroit area right about now, negative wind chills. I plan on hibernating today. That's why I'm recording this today. And at any rate, which again, I know I've been using that as a crutch. I need to break myself of that habit. I broke myself of the saying all right and the ahs and the ums, but for some reason, I've picked up this speech tick of at any rate as a segue. So at any rate, I say again purposefully, jokingly, for those who may read the transcript and not hear the laughter. Today, I want to talk about something I wrote about previously, years back, a 2014 Rattle With Us Tea Party group piece. I was the writing group chairman for Rattle With Us Tea Party here in Southeast Michigan, mainly the Plymouth, Livonia area we operated out of. The group has been disbanded. Many people gone on to other things, still active in politics. But the issue of some Detroiters claiming they have a right to force you to give them water for free. I'm going to jump ahead in my notes here to find the Jared Howe quote. Here it is. Jared Howe said, I want to make sure I read this correctly to quote him properly. Anything that requires the labor or property of other people is not a basic human right. That includes education, healthcare, food, internet access, housing, or anything else that involves an investment of capital and or labor. To demand free goods and services from people who sacrifice time and capital to produce them is to demand that those people become your slaves. You don't have a right to enslave people for food or education or health care any more than plantation owners had a right to enslave people to pick cotton. Jared Howe. And I'm actually glad I'm reading that quote from here, because this will be thelibertybeacon.com correlating piece. And I could see that I had a stutter there. To demand is somehow repeated in the article. So after I'm done recording the show, I need to go fix that in the article, remove the is to demand stutter that somehow lands up being in there, and the grammar checker didn't catch the repetitive terminology. One does not have a right to enslave others or to force others, as Jared points out, to do things for them. And that includes the human necessity of water, food and water. We need water to survive. As I stated in my Rattle With Us 2014 group piece, and let me quote myself, I'll read that to get that right, about them going to the UN and getting the UN to also claim a right to water. Detroiters who don't pay their bills want to exercise your right to water? Dig a well. You do not have the right to enslave others by forcing them to provide their labor/services for your free benefit. So again, go down to the Detroit River with your bucket and scoop some water out of the Detroit River. That is where your right to water comes and goes. And you don't have a right to trespass on someone's private land to get to that public waterway. I'm in Wyandotte, Michigan, southern suburb of Detroit. Wyandotte has Bishop Park along the river. So take your buckets onto the public park land to the water's edge and scoop yourself some water. There is where your right to water begins and ends. And then, of course, take it home and boil it. And even with that, good luck with that. Good luck to you not poisoning yourself in some way, shape, or form, because the water hasn't, in modern technology sense, been processed, cleaned up, purified to some degree. And again, you have no right to demand your city public utility. In the case of Wyandotte, we have our own power and water company, to have forced them, other taxpayers, to pay that, or those who pay Wyandotte water bills to cover the cost of the purification and the piping to get it to your residence or wherever you're at in Michigan, in Wyandotte in this case, to have that water pumped to be delivered to you. You don't have the right to enslave others, to force them to do all that for you. It's just pretty basic, but yet leftist morons don't grasp basic concepts. The left, the party of the KKK, the party of slavery, has never given up their notion that they can force others to engage in activities for their benefit. The leftist mentality is still a slave mentality. And no, it doesn't matter. Hey, we by law now create a minimum wage. So somebody somewhere through redistribution of wealth is going to be forced to cough up a minimum wage for you to do this work so I can have free water. It doesn't work that way either. Jesus was not a socialist. Your charity, your ability to give to yourself or your neighbors something like clean water is a personal responsibility and duty. To be your brother's keeper is a personal Christian commandment, not communist, socialist, render it unto Caesar, one of the oft most warped, out of context scriptures there is. You don't get to render that duty unto Caesar to do for you. So the left distorts everything here. I'm going to read further. How about the Democrats in control in Detroit who constantly let their donor buddies running businesses to not pay and claim dispute? Oh, we really didn't use that much water, as if they aren't using the water. They are, or if there's leaks in their system, claiming the water really wasn't used, it was wasted. Well, fix your pipes, fix your system on your property so that they could try to negotiate a lesser bill. And I'm going to call out Mike Ilitch, someone who I admired. Rest in peace, Mike. He's now gone. But the owner at that time, now passed down to his son, Chris Ilitch, as CEO of the operations of Olympia Entertainment that used to operate Joe Louis Arena, which was a publicly owned arena by the city. But Olympia Entertainment, the Ilitches, private organization, business, firm, operated Joe Louis Arena on behalf of the city. And the Wings used to play. They are now at Little Caesars Arena, of course, but they were one of them. They would dispute their water bill every year and get a negotiated settlement to pay less. Meanwhile, other Detroiters, private citizens, of course, couldn't complain about their water bill. Either you coughed up the money or they shut off your service. And I've gone on in the next paragraph a line to say, shut off their water. Make them all pay for what they use. Mike Ilitch, the millionaire billionaire running a multi-million-dollar corporation, shouldn't be able to back out of paying their water bill. Pay what you owe. Now, again, this goes back to 2014. I don't know if those antics are still going on or not. I've not confirmed. I can't confirm or deny, but they've done it forever. Why would they be stopping now? I wouldn't doubt they're claiming and trying the same tactics and antics through Little Caesars Arena or Comerica Park, where the Detroit Tigers that the Ilitch family also owns and plays.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
So enough of this. Welfare is welfare. Corporate welfare also is improper. I'm consistent in these regards. Further, I went on to state in my short Rattle with Us piece that will be quoted fully in my thelibertybeacon.com correlating article that will also drop Saturday, January 20th, 2024, same date that this show will be dropping at ChristiTutionalist Politics via Buzzsprout, where the platform that houses my shows, and will be available by Sunday, all places like iHeart, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Spreaker, Podcast Addict, all those umpteen million places podcasts are available through. And thank you all so much for carrying my podcast. Let me officially state that. But I go on to say, it has been stated in the United States, we have a fundamental right to travel without restriction. I demand General Motors provide me a car for free then, by the same retarded extension of the water morons' logic. Now, I go on to say more, and this show and the article at thelibertybeacon.com are meant to complement each other. So I'm not going to read everything that's in the article, and everything I state here in the show won't be directly re-quoted in the article. So you should be checking out both, please. But I understand, and why I am doing both is that some prefer to listen, and why I provide, boy, I can't talk today, provide, not profide, whatever word that was incorrectly came out of my mouth, the behind the scenes video sneak, because I understand a lot of people prefer watching things on video rather than just listening. Also, some may prefer to read something in a blog form. But with that, I also want to mention there will be an embedded video in the online version piece at TLB about water as a human right, the UN Human Rights Office, 8-minute, 27-second video there will be worth checking out. I'm not going to play the audio here or try to sneak the video in, just refer you to the online TLB piece in order to see that. But I hope this gives you the point. Your constitutional rights, your God-given rights that the Constitution is to protect over what commie privilege tries to claim, a right to enslave others in order to redistribute things to others. We are to do our Christian duty to be our brother's keeper, again, through charity, our own actions, deeds, and giving, as the Bible states, for God loves a cheerful giver. Important to know and understand these Christian/political earthly distinctions and our U.S.-based Constitution and laws. So the bottom line here, as I'm going to close it out, is you leftists have no right to enslave others. I know you miss your Confederacy days and ability to enslave people directly. You don't get to do it through another methodology today, as well as your desire to create people to be dependent on you. Yet another, yes, slightly twisting and warping of the term slave and slavery, but creating dependency is just that also. You want to create people to be dependent upon you so that people are voting for you for handouts for a living rather than getting off their hindsides and working for a living, earning their own stuff for a living. So thank you all for tuning into this, another rather odd and off the wall as far as timing goes. I'm sure there's nothing particular that brought this back to mind other than my sitting thinking, what shall we discuss on today's show? And for whatever reason, this pops back into mind. Something that I'm betting a lot of you had heard nothing about, and therefore was important for me to bring back up. Resurrect. Oh, yeah, I dare make that kind of joke. We got to keep a sense of humor. To resurrect that issue of my Rattle With Us Tea Party piece from 2014. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Thank you for tuning in, because again, I know you have so many podcast choices that you could tune in for. I really, really appreciate you tuning into mine, and indeed checking out my thelibertybeacon.com pieces. Also at J. Leonard Detroit on beforeitsnews.com. I still write there. There are some pieces that are not at TLB, at B4IN, beforeitsnews.com. You can find, and vice versa, some Before It's News pieces that aren't ported over to TLB. So again, all of these are meant to complement each other. Thank you all. Take care. I hope you're not freezing your tuchus off like I am here today in Michigan. I'm going to be hibernating the rest of the day. I'm not going out unless if there's some life or death situation. Take care. See you all next week.
Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and Savage Unfiltered. Maybe even go back a few years and dig up some old The Patriot angles. Share episodes. We need your help to grow the show. Thank you for having tuned into ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. And you can obviously learn more about the very non-traditional or fluffy style Christian book, but a Christian book nonetheless. Also, please tune into Savage Unfiltered Podcast, of which I am a co-host, and be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. In addition to seeing the corresponding thelibertybeacon.com piece referenced in any episode of ChristiTutionalist Podcast, see to the show transcript on podcast platforms that provide access to it, like Buzzsprout at tinyurl.com/ChristiTutionalist for additional bonus material there in the transcript. Thank you. Take care. God bless.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.